What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. If there's something you're going to look at as an area of optimism looking forward in the series for the Pacers, Nesmith and Nembhard were like completely in the upside down after Game 5. Nesmith had 2 or 3 nasty turnovers down the stretch, had kind of lost control of his shot. Nesmith has been getting cooked defensively all series and hasn't been able to knock down shots. Those two guys go 5 for 11 from 3 tonight and have their best defensive game of the series. That is a huge bit of positive momentum that you're carrying into Game 7. Obi Toppin, who has had all sorts of blitzes of scoring in this series, big time catch and shoot threes in tonight's game. TJ McConnell has consistently, like I mentioned earlier, been the best guy on the Pacers at gouging Oklahoma City's defense, which has caused all sorts of positives. They're plus 10 again tonight in his 24 minutes. That is the push and pull, and that's what we have to look for Game 7. As we look into Game 7, which team's going to control that tug of war? No team has been able to conquer one specific demon with Oklahoma City so far, which is that when the series is hanging in the balance, in the big pivotal games, nobody can score on them. So, for instance, you're going to go down 2-0 at home, that's series over. It's just too much to overcome that. You got to win Game 2. They strangle the Pacers in that game. Game 4, Pacers have a lead going into the fourth quarter. I think they were up 7. They strangle the life out of the Pacers. They literally can't score down the stretch. Even in Game 5, like the Pacers go on a run. Siakam gets an offensive rebound, hits a 3 off the left wing. It's 95-93. Looks like they're right there. All of a sudden, Oklahoma City tightens the screws, and the Pacers turn the ball over 4 consecutive possessions. And it's not just the Pacers. You go back to Minnesota, exact same thing happened in Game 4 of that series. You go back to Denver in Game 4 and in Game 5 and in Game 7 of that series. They have strangled the life out of the team. They've had their moments where they look bad. Minnesota beat the shit out of Oklahoma City in Game 3. Denver had they had a big controlling win in Game 3 and another one in Game 6. Memphis, before John Morant got injured, was beating the shit out of Oklahoma City at home in Game 3. Like, they've shown their cracks. They're a young team. They struggle on the road. They've had their issues. But ultimately, when everything is actually on the line, when their back is truly against the wall, it's like that meme with the dude sitting back with the controller and then he leans forward when it's go time. Like, Oklahoma City tightens the screws and everyone falls apart. That is the challenge. If Indiana's going to win in Game 7, that's the demon they have to conquer. Right out the gates, they have to not turn the ball over. They have to get the ball through Oklahoma City's defense. They have to knock down the shots that are available to them. We talked about Nesmith and Nembhard getting going tonight. That's huge. Miles Turner's another big guy I have my eye on. He keeps getting wide open threes in this series, and he just can't hit them. And I talked about before the series that he was one of the biggest swing factors, specifically because his ability to be on the other side of switches against guards in the post, and because of pick and pop and Chet's willingness to help at the rim and Isaiah's willingness to help at the rim, he's going to get catch and shoot looks, and he's got to knock them down. That's the step on that side of the floor. But Indiana has a pathway to avoid that, and that's by getting stops. And so Indiana has to, in that game, contain the ball, force kickouts to mediocre shooters for contested shots, not for open shots. They need to force long rebounds and turnovers and get out in transition as much as possible in order to avoid that half-court setting. Again, it's not a good sign that in Game 5, when you had a chance, that you turned the ball over 4 consecutive times, all against the first 2 layers of Oklahoma City's defense, like just on-ball pressure and high post entry denial and stuff like that. That is something that they cannot afford to do in Game 7. If they do that in Game 7, they're dead on arrival and they're going to get blown out. But if they can contain the ball, if they can force misses and turnovers, if they can get out in transition, that is their best chance. And for Oklahoma City, it's the same thing that they did down the stretch in these key moments. If they can tighten the screws on this Indiana defense, They can force turnovers. They can get out and transition. Because again, as we talked about, if Oklahoma City has a weakness, it's that their offense can be a little shaky. You can shake the foundation of Oklahoma City's offense. They had just 35 points in the second and third quarters tonight. And so for them, that's their breaking point. But they also have a turnover to transition element to their game. And in the big spots, they've been able to get to that part of their game and close teams out. Big time in Game 7 against Denver. Like Game 7 against Denver, they just decided they weren't going to let Jokic catch the ball. And it just completely decomposed for Denver, right? So that's gonna be the tug of war in Game 7. The danger for Oklahoma City in letting a game like this happen where they get their butts kicked is it gives rhythm and confidence to the Pacers. They have a real pathway to get it done. Very, very excited for Game 7. Not sure if Colin's going to be with us for Game 7, but we will certainly have a live show after the final buzzer there. I'm looking forward to that.